Hey everybody, Rodamon here. Thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of Starbound, a vanilla Let's Play tutorial series. But before we get going, I just want to go over a very basic list of things we should keep an eye out for. These items are involved in the quest lines, well, most of them, like the Grand Avian Sarcophagus or the Big Ape Bust. Those things are part of side quests, without spoiling it too much. The copper and gold bars are part of technology, and then everything you see on the right is just things that are generally smart to keep for character progression. I also wanted to say that, addressing some of your comments, yes, there was another way to get a lot of those core fragments. Those ways would have been to fight a mini-boss that instead I skipped and went to the core of the world. Both ways are totally fine doing. I wanted to demonstrate the alternative way because as much as this is somewhat a linear game, there is a lot of sort of non-linear mechanics. So here we are where we left off. We had fired up the portal and teleported here. And this is sort of, I would describe, the hub. It is where everything, for the most part, most of what you need to do to upgrade yourself, to trade, it's all going to be found here with some caveats. And I am going to continue to the main mission, find the source of the mysterious messages. But in this area, you will be upgrading your technology, you will be upgrading your ship, you'll be doing a lot of the side quests, and you can always come back to this part, to this, let's call it a hub, at any point, through the use of teleporters. So now that I have this teleporter unlocked, for instance, I can teleport back to the ship, totally instantly without cost, and then teleport right back to the Ark ruins. And here we are. So continuing to search for the mysterious message, this message originated from, ta-da, Esther. This is part of the main quest, so spoilers. Hello, dear. Is that a meta manipulator you're carrying? Excellent. You are a protector. I'm sorry to say, perhaps the last after the terrible destruction of Earth. It's sadly inevitable that we should meet now. My name is Esther Bright, retired Grand Protector. I left some years ago on an impossible decision, but my research could not be neglected. I discovered things long forgotten that weigh heavy on the present. Long ago, there was a force known as the Cultivator. It maintained balance in the universe. Under its influence, harmony reigned. So it was for aeons. But this tranquility proved finite. A being arose, one of hate and destruction. It was the Ruin. The Ruin could not abide life in any form, and reaped destruction upon the universe. It fought to blot out all life, and would have succeeded but for the sacrifice of the Cultivator. The Cultivator rose against the Ruin, and succeeded in sealing it away. But in doing so, the Cultivator exhausted its power completely. Before its last energies dissipated, the Cultivator gifted 6 chosen races with precious artifacts. These 6 artifacts, when united, form the key that opens the gate to the Ruin. The defenses are crumbling. We must unite the artifacts, reach the Ruin, and truly destroy it. This is a lot to take in, a huge request to make of you, but I would like your help. The artifacts are scattered across the stars. I can't find them alone. We must find them and eradicate the Ruin before other planets go the way of the Earth. Well, that's a lot to take in. But that sort of maps out the entire main quest line, without spoiling too much. That is the arc the entire game takes, and these holes here are the key slots, and this gateway, the gateway to, well, you know. So here is the first quest completed. I get this little mysterious reward bag, and I pick up a new one, and this next quest is to get my ship in working order. So I have to go find Penguin Pete on the Outpost. So the reward I got here, we can open up just by clicking on it like this, and we got a manipulator module. Now I have 5 of those. These manipulator modules in the upgrade in the top right of the screen up here can be spent to upgrade your matter manipulator. So I have enough, I have 5, I need 3 to enable the excavation of liquids. But I would say that probably my favorite ones to focus on early is power generator to make mining out a little bit quicker. Although acquiring liquids is pretty helpful. And then increasing the area of effect. Particularly the area of effect up to 4x4, because we are a 4-tile tall character, which means a 4x4 allows you to dig a tunnel that allows you to walk through. Whereas 5x5 is significantly more. It's a difference of 16 to 25, but you know, not big enough. So here is a Penguin Pete offering up a new mission. I could repair that ship, but it's going to take crystals. Better get them yourself. And he's going to give the coordinates to the mission to the sail computer. There is a lot of other stuff going on in this town. As I said, this is very much the hub. So we can build mechs and upgrade them and fight in them. This barkeep down here offers us a mission that I am woefully too weak, called Dreadwing, in order to defeat. And all of these missions can be found in your quest journal. And some of the easier ones, let me get my flashlight out, make it a little bit easier for you all to see. There are some easier quests, low-level easier quests, that we can embark on immediately. One of them would be picking up from Ursa Mining, and another from this professor. Let's get technical. I've been developing a technology that will enable the user to swiftly dash from one point to another, but I'm lacking a few crucial components. Can you help bringing me 10 copper bars? So, do you remember in the start screen here, I said collect 10 copper bars? This is exactly the reason why I said to collect it. And then everything else on that list here, and the list will be uploaded so that you can reference it not just from the frames in the video. The link will be in the description. Everything in there is something that you should probably keep an eye out for, because, you know, it's all crucial. There's other things to add to that list, but they're not as important. Here's another one. Lost Teddy from Bernard, who wants a teddy bear. This quest in particular sort of instructs you to start crafting. So that would be down the inventor table's construction line, which is something we might end up doing eventually. But it also, this quest in particular requires fabrics that I don't yet have access to. So I just crafted the inventor's table, and my sail is saying the chances of my survival have increased. The inventor's table is sort of the first table of technology that you unlock in order to level up everything else. Another thing to do is to consistently take out your scan tool, which is N or November, and just scan as you go. If you ever have questions about what something is, you can scan it. And then a lot of what you scan, you end up being able to construct later on in the game. So, for instance, if in this series I'll be designing a Western, or like a Wild West styled colony, if I happen upon a Wild West colony in the game, I really ought to dismantle it and scan it so that I can build it later. So there's 2 teleporters on this outpost. There's the 2-stop teleshop, which is currently closed, and then the Ark Ruins. And then I can beam back up to the ship. So let's beam back up to the ship and do the crystal mission that was requested. So if I go to missions here, there is Dreadwing and the mining facility. And doing the mining facility mission here will allow us to get FTL drives back online, allowing us to travel from planet to planet. Now, the entire galaxy is not procedurally generated. But with that said, it is so enormous that you're not likely to ever, on multiple playthroughs, see the same planets again and again, because it is large enough that that's just not how, that's just not something that will happen. Alright, so the sail is telling me that there are life signs from down below. In facilities like this, quest facilities, it behooves you to poke around a lot and search for things, right? So like here is a cosmetic high-vis vest, which is worth 250 pixels. Here, I don't think... There we go. That spear is left over from something else. Okay, so here's their barracks. These lockers here have been... yeah, they're pretty empty. Another thing to mention is because we're on a specialty side mission, the facility here can't be broken down. Whereas normally when you're playing, you can sort of bust open everything that you see. Nothing is really all that protected in most scenarios. So it's telling me to go to the bottom of this facility and fetch mining crystals. I'm just going to make sure that I eat. Another thing about eating is for some foods, there is an actual benefit to eating. You get damage bonuses or things of that nature. So we are just poking around this facility. Whoa, and I am falling. Going into the air ducts. Always the air ducts. And flipping on this switch here. In the top left, keeping an eye on your health, making sure that you don't get overwhelmed, killed, etc. And I'm going to crank out with the fibers that I have, some additional salve. You can also use a variety of different weapons if you have them. For me, I just really have my starting broken sword and some throwing darts and spears. And there's a huge variety of weapons that this game offers you. Some are going to be ranged weapons, some are melee weapons, some are sort of magical weapons, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, benefits, etc. And trying out pretty much every weapon that you find, you might find combinations or styles that you prefer. So I'm definitely on the lookout for that. So we'll continue to delve deeper into this facility and not get killed by this little pig monster because my health was kind of low. Again, health quite low, so I'm going to take a moment to heal up. Now I also have, a sleeping bag? If I could find a large enough flat surface, I could, if I was out, let's say if I was out of meds, I could always put this down. In fact, I can hotkey it on a secondary bar, but I don't think it's going to let me place it because we're in a owned facility of sorts. So here is an NPC that is not trying to kill me, and it looks like I got another high-vis jacket, which is completely cosmetic. And you can always hold left alt to see if there's anything behind hidden walls or the like that might be not obvious at first glance. I'm just trying to minimize the amount of damage I'm taking. I'm gonna try to aggro both of these guys. It's the specialty ability that I have. Can hit multiple targets, so there's really no point in killing these one at a time if I can group them up and kill them as a larger group. Alright, so some additional humans. I did just get a mining pick. So the pickaxes, early on, they will mine your matter manipulator, but as you upgrade your matter manipulator, the mining picks lose favor, where your matter manipulator will eventually be able to mine quicker. I also just got an assault rifle, so let me bind this to 4. Now, ranged weapons like this require energy, so you can't shoot infinitely, but it definitely keeps me a lot safer taking these guys down from a distance. It's also possible for me to fall back to NPCs and have them assist, because there is no... This game is entirely gear and loot based. There is no sort of XP system. So if the NPCs here come and help me, it's not like they're taking experience from me, or even loot. They won't take the loot either. So there's no point in going it alone. In fact, you can even get some allies to assist you and come down to planets, and you can get pets to do the same. There is a comprehensive system of having, you know, more than one, so that you don't have to be by yourself necessarily. Additionally, it is a multiplayer game, so you can play with other players as well. But as you can see, the assault rifle has made taking on these very high damaging zombie-esque mutant things a little bit more safe. Ow. My health got real low, so I used one of my big healing, because, you know, we're trying. I can't necessarily say I'll be perfect at it, but we're trying to have a zero-death playthrough, if possible. Alright, so this switch opens up the way back up towards the start. We've got another cosmetic. It's a headwear that I can wear if I want to. Doesn't offer anything. And then another thing we got is, alright, so we have a sniper rifle as well. I'm going to bind that as well. And then on my secondary bar, I'm going to put my throwing weapons. And then I'm also going to put my healing so that it's in the same place. So either bar I'm using, I'll do the same with my flashlight and my ropes. See, either bar that I'm using, my utility of flashlight, ropes, and healing are the same. So in a case of panic, it doesn't matter which toolbar I have open. So another thing I wanted to say is these blueprints here, you can use them like this to teach you whatever they have to teach you. So this is lunar base stuff that we'll be able to build learning the blueprints. And then once you already have the blueprints, you can't relearn it. So I'll be able to sell this blueprint, for instance, for whatever it's worth. So the assault rifle here has a special of an explosive shot, and it's just a high damage. And then this sniper rifle has a special of a piercing shot. Another thing I wanted to do is let's go ahead and put let's see. I'm going to build some wood platforms instead of using my dirt. We'll put the wood platforms on 6, and then the sniper rifle on 5. So I know, not that I can build in here, but if I want wooden platforms, I can just go to 6. So this is obviously an NPC that is a little tougher, and I just used my special ability with the assault rifle. Now, the melee weapon, unlike the ranged weapons, you can always swing even if you don't have energy. You just won't be able to do your special attack. But with the with the ranged weapons, if you run out of energy, you can't really do anything. Alright. And then if I wanted to heal up, I could also use beds or whatever else. So this here is a save point. So if I die, I start here, not, you know, at the start. And we'll continue deeper into this facility. Now, I haven't found a lot of weapons, so I am a little underpowered at this point. Which is totally fine as long as I play it safe and slow. Because these brawlers actually don't hit as hard as the zombies did. As the mutant things. Here is a spacesuit backpack and a codex for emergency lockdown. So this facility has been put into full lockdown. There's a life form that is awakened in this facility. You know, remain calm, etc., etc., etc. Have a nice day. Okay, I can't go down there yet. Not without some tech upgrades. And yes, tech upgrades will allow you to traverse more terrain that is currently locked to me. So this here is sort of the, how should we say, the boss fight room. I'm going to top up my health, and this is the first, I would say, real boss that that you end up fighting. Alright, so as you can see, the technique here is not to shoot it, because shooting it doesn't really do any damage. It is to power up those consoles and use this, let's call it a laser, to do the damage instead. A little fall damage, but that's alright. Just want to get over here. And now it's spawning the little mutant things. Whoa. And the pattern of the lasers that this horror generates changes every time you fire the big weapon here. So essentially I'm showing you the viable tactics to kill it. And I'm very happy to have found that rifle at the start of this. There it goes. The horror is gone. I destroyed the monster. I was trapped inside. It would have mutated just like the rest. And he's wondering if anyone else survived. Let's also don't forget our pixels. And he's wondering if anyone else survived the facility. So here is our loot box. So we've got a tech card, a green grenade launcher, which means it's a little bit more rare, and then a green shotgun. We've got the codex for the horror. So the horror, we are calling it the Urchius horror. We've been trapped down here with it. We found it in a deep vein of these crystals. And the horror, so this goes on for a few pages, but basically the horror is attracted to the crystals and, for lack of a better term, haunts them. And this is something that will be prevalent throughout the entire game. And then this is the mining that Pete wanted us to fire up in payment for him repairing our ship. So I've now equipped the new weapons here. This is the shotgun. So the shotgun's primary fire is a blast. Secondary fire is a grenade launcher. And then the grenade launcher that we have has no secondary fire. It's just a grenade launcher. And just because it's green doesn't necessarily mean it's better. You have to analyze damage per shot, energy per shot, rate of fire, etc. Alright, let's teleport back to the two-stop tele. Back to the Ark, the ruins, the hub, whatever you want to call it. And tell Pete that we're done. And as you can see, the teleshop here now has a person at it. Meaning that it is, and same with the Terramart, meaning that they're, open for business. Okay, so we are doing the mining facility, and we can always change the track to quest. We'll return to him. And with his new fuel, him and his penguins are going to repair my FTL drive, and it'll be good to move around. The reward bag gives me another matter manipulator, and this is 2 away from the first power generator that I'll want. So other points of interest, you can create your own teleporters. You'll gain, from just like spelunking and exploring, you'll gain teleporter cores. And then you can take your teleporter core to this lady here to switch it in for a teleporter, which acts just like any other teleporter. And there's a cheaper way to have teleportation, but this is one way. And then you can also buy teleporter cores for diamonds. Although, I've got to say, I pretty much never had to do that. You gain a lot of teleporter cores. And then the Terramart gives you eggs. This gives you eggs of different species of animals. The ones that I would say are most important to get early on is the fire and ice eggs, and let them hatch wherever you want, but I would say on your ship. I don't want to spoil as to why, but just trust me, buy those eggs. It will pay off in the long run. So another thing I'm going to do is all of the cosmetic stuff that I don't necessarily want, and this blueprint that I have no need for, I can go ahead and sell. Some things don't really have a sell value, so for instance, like saplings or most building materials can't really be sold for anything. You know, I can sell some of this raw steak that's about to spoil, or raw poultry that's going to spoil, but for the most part, it is stuff that's in your backpack inventory that will have some value. For now, I think I'm going to do is hold on to the codexes, just to collect them for fun. Oh, I'm also going to sell my copper pickaxes because I don't need them either. So with that sold, I'm actually going to buy a fire fluffalo egg. And my next quest takes me over back to Esther Bright. There's a quicker way to get to her, which is just to use the teleporter here and go straight to the ruins. And there's back in the town, there are other vendors that I haven't yet talked to as well. Alright, so she gives me a little bonus and a reward bag. And then she's going to tell me to use my scanner, basically. So scan some objects in the outpost. So I could either walk back to the outpost. This gives me another tech card. I could either walk back to the outpost or like beam back up to my ship and then beam straight back down. I'm going to beam up to my ship because I want to plop the egg down. So the animals that you can hatch from these eggs do not require food or sustenance. They'll wander around your ship. They can be annoying at times because they can, like, if they, let's say, are positioned right on the chair of the captain's chair, you might be interacting with your animal instead of your chair. So some people will build farms on surface planets or put them into sort of contained areas so they don't interfere. But I personally don't really care. All right, so we're headed back to the 2-stop teleshop so that we can scan the outpost. And this is a very reoccurring concept. So things that we should scan here. The blue things are things that we don't yet know about. And once we scan them for the first time, it gets entered into our matter manipulators like encyclopedia. And then other things that are green are sort of the specifically what she wants us to scan for the quest. So she wants us to scan Penguin Pete's facilities, so on and so forth. And as you can see, there's a progress bar up here. There are 7 total missions or so that have you scanning for objects. So here's the Terramart. But a lot of the blue stuff here we'll be able to replicate. So if we want to make our own colony, we could by scanning what already exists and then printing it out with our own materials and technology. If you're ever hungry and you don't have a source of food, you can also come to town and, this shop sells all sorts of food. A little overpriced. I wouldn't suggest buying it. I'd suggest growing it, but, you know, if you, in a pinch, you know, it's a viable solution. So let's continue to scan. And this is another way to give you the, like, nickel tour to discover the entire town and what it has to offer. This is, you know, basically what it's doing. So here is, she wants us to scan tech. And she gives you a little blurb about what each one does. So this stand here prints out signs. When you're colonizing and you want to, you know, have customized signs, this allows you to customize your signs. This furniture shop sells a large variety of types of furniture that are thematic, and the themes change every day. So if you're looking for a specific theme, you can go to the wiki and figure out what day the shop sells your desired theme, and you'll know when to check in. Alright, let's keep scanning. As you can see, none of this stuff is stuff I need to scan for the mission. All the stuff for this specific mission that she wants me to scan is also things that you want to interact with at some point in the game, you know. So if you're ever wanting to buy thematic furniture, you're going to have to come to Frog at some point. Or you don't have to, but it helps. He also sells colony deeds. Colony deeds allows you to start building a colony, and the codex to tell you how to build colonies. And right now, his theme of the day is obviously, like, seashell stuff. So here, he has all the basic stuff. These outdoor lamps and whatnot are generic, and they're always the same. But then he has some seashell-themed furnishings. Okay, continuing on, we have Ursa. And what else? She probably wants us to go underground. Let's scan down here. And there's a quest here for test drive. I'll pick up for now. But I'm going to focus on this mission at hand. And this might be the last. This is the saloon. The Beak Easy. Okay, so that concludes the tour. And she's saying, come find me when you're ready. And I happen to be ready. So, for me, I know I'm going to be designing a Wild West styled colony. So I'm mostly only going to be concerned about scanning Wild West stuff. But if you're playing for yourself and you don't yet know what kind of colony that you're going to build, scan everything. It doesn't cost anything but time. You might as well. There's also the sort of glyph that tells the story of the cultivator versus ruin that you can scan. Not that it really does anything for you, but I got them all. Okay. So that's done. And the next quest is she will send us to find artifacts. So I need to find a Florin town and get an artifact from them, which requires me to travel. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other quests I picked up. So there's Dreadwing, which is a difficult side quest boss. Let's get Tentacle, which requires us to obtain copper bars. Lost Teddy, which requires us to make a teddy bear. And then Test Drive, which I believe we could just fly through the test course right now. So let's go ahead and do Test Drive. And Test Drive is this mech shop down here. So we'll say we're ready. So the test drive just has us traversing in a mech. like this. And then it might tell us to shoot targets to be able to proceed through the course. You're going to have an energy bar, which is this blue thing up here, which is important to keep an eye on, because when you run out of energy, you kind of, you know, die. And the mech has two functions here. You walk around indoors, and then in space, you jet around like this. And then when you're indoors, you can also pop out of the mech. I would not suggest doing this when you're in space, because you don't really have rocket boosters or anything like that. So this mech, I've got two weapons. One is like a shield, and the other is just this blaster. And we're going to go through this target course. At some points, it's going to tell you to basically dismount, exit, go on foot, like this, and back to the Ark. That entire test course, we're done. I mean, that's all it really required. It's pretty simple. It's just an introductory mission to figure out how to use your mechs. So let's return back. And that teaches us how to craft some very basic mech parts. The generic mech body, which is styled for Novakid. Same with the some mech boosters, mech legs, drill arm, and flat cannon. So the next one is to go into space and find 5 salvaged interface chips and 10 power couplings. Again, I have this written down on the things to collect. And I'll show you how to do that eventually. It's probably not going to be my first thing. The first thing I probably want to do is tracking Let's Get Technical, which is acquiring copper bars. So I'm going to beam up to the ship here and work towards that. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and drop my inventor table, which is going to then allow me to make anvils, forging table, a furnace, a spinning wheel, and a wooden workbench. All of these things require more resources than I currently have, some significantly. So if you take a look at, the primitive furnace, for instance, I need a campfire. Well, I do happen to know how to make one of those. Done. So now that I have this campfire, I can make a primitive furnace. Wait till it's done. And make a wooden workbench. As you can see, I'm out of timber again. I can make a little bit more timber. Make a forging table. Now, in this series, I have been tasked to make a late game colony. So most of what I'm going to be doing is putting the entire... everything that I need to build to proceed will probably be on my ship as a result. So here's the little fire fluffalo. And it's going to slowly mature. So the primitive furnace allows me to smelt, and my quest has me getting 10 copper bars. I happen to have ore for 11. So we'll smelt all that up. If you just go to the back arrow, it smelts everything that you can, which is just a much faster way of smelting than clicking one at a time. I haven't found any tungsten. I haven't been on a planet that has tungsten. This will make sense later. And then there's also these secondary materials that I can craft up, like volatile power out of the core fragments that I've acquired. Whoa! You just grew a lot. Alright, pet, go away. The wooden workbench is a way to make things for colonies and the like. So some of what's going to be available to me, like the lunar base crate, are things that that I have scanned or read the blueprint, right? So I read the blueprint for the lunar base crate, but because I have made copper and I've, cut down trees. These are all things relevant to what I've unlocked. Eventually, this list gets pretty big. But right now, if I wanted to make like an iron or wooden, table or chairs or something like that, I could with the materials available. Then we have the foraging table. So most of this stuff is for farming. The hoe is obviously for farming. The moth trap is very, very, very important to make once we have tungsten bars, because the moths produce silk. And you can put your moth traps on your ship. It's fine, even though there's no day-night cycle up here. The watering can allows you to water your plants. Same with the wooden watering can. The scarecrow is entirely cosmetic, as it's just decorative. Then you have bug nets. Bugs are a collection item. So up here in the collections tab, you can see things to collect. So there are pets, rare pets, action figures, fishing, cooking, and I should have some cooking. No, I guess I really don't. Fossils, and then bugs. So the bug net gets you, bugs, obviously. The fishing rod gets you fish. The reason to use a hunting bow over traditional weapons, when you use a bow, it harvests meat and leathers at a higher rate, or whatever that animal normally would produce. It might not be meat or leathers, but whatever the animal normally drops, you get a higher chance for drops using hunting equipment than just traditional weapons. And then, of course, you have lanterns. So you've got the explorer's lantern, flares, flashlights, lantern sticks. Lantern sticks help produce light around you like it's a portable torch. Pretty handy. The thing with the lantern here is, as you can see, one of the ingredients required is oil. In order to get oil, you would need the enable the collection of liquids, right? You can't have oil until you collect it. So if you want to go early towards getting oils, that's fine. Or liquids, that's fine. I want to improve my mana manipulator for mining. It's just a personal preference. What's left? So I didn't do the anvil. This requires 20 timber. I'm curious if I even have wood for that. I probably do. Yeah, that's not too much. So let's get that anvil out. And that leaves the spinning wheel, which is the last thing. And I will have enough for the spinning wheel. So let's get... Oh, no, I'm out of timber entirely. But timber is really, really easy to acquire. If I'm out of room here, I can always put a secondary platform. So let me demo that as well. So if we have... I have wooden platforms as a... that I've made up already. So I can just literally plop wooden platforms up here. I can switch back to my matter manipulator and pluck these things up if I wanted to. It doesn't destroy them, it just moves it. So I can put them back down. And here, as you can see, I can have 2 layers of, equipment. So the anvil here allows you to make stronger stuff. So here, as you can see, I can have, once I acquire the necessary materials, string, woven fabrics, etc., I can make some new gear. And then one of the most important things is the breathing Enviro protection pack, but that's going to come in later. Well, guys, I am just about out of time. If you have any tips, tricks, feedback for me, do drop me a line in the comments below, suggestions, anything like that. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope this has been entertaining and educational. I will catch you all next episode. Adios, everybody.